Welcome back. It's 49 minutes past 7. Time now for a look at the very latest business news. I'm joined by Matthew Warren. Now, of course, it's May Day, the yearly workers' holiday here in France. There is, however, some bad news for one group of employees who work for a big retail chain.
Yes, that's right. That chain is the Phone House. It's the biggest retailer of mobile phones here in France. Well, now it says it's shutting up shop, and that's put 1,200 jobs at risk. Jade Barker has more.
The Phone House has dominated the French mobile market for some 17 years. But now the retailer is cutting its connection for the last time and will close its doors within the next 12 months. The company currently has some 330 stores and employs around 1,200 staff in France. Set up amid signs the mobile phone market was expanding, its business model, based on commissions from customers signing up to new contracts, now seems outdated. Telecommunication companies are retaining the customers they have through upgraded contracts, and people are increasingly looking online for bargains.
People are no longer afraid of buying online, so suddenly we're seeing fewer people going to physical stores.
Orange put the final nail in the coffin after refusing to renew its contract with the company, which made up 52% of its business. The closure in France coincides with an ownership overhaul of the Phone House in Europe. It's jointly operated by US electronics retailer Best Buy, but it says it will sell its 50% stake to British retailer Carphone Warehouse. Another sign of the tough times for mobile retailers.
Now, staying with telecoms for a moment, Matthew, the dominance of one man in Mexico could be under threat.
Yes, that's right. The Mexican Senate has approved a bill which is designed to really give a shake-up to the telecoms industry there. Now, it's dominated by one man, the billionaire there. You can see him, Carlos Slim. Now, this is one of the big reforms put forward by the newish president. He was put in office in December, designed to improve competitiveness in both television and telecoms. Now, it's two of Slim's companies, Telmex and Telcel, that really dominate the fixed line and mobile markets. As I said, it's also TV that they've got in their sights with this legislation. Well, we'll see if these changes make any dent in Carlos Slim's fortune. Forbes magazine has named him for several years now the world's richest man.
Well, we're going to stick with wealthy bosses for a moment. It seems that the difference between those bosses and the employees that work for them in terms of what they earn is growing.
That's right. This is very appropriate as well for International Labour Day, isn't it? Yeah, this is a survey in the US by Bloomberg. Now, they look at the, as you've said, what bosses earn in the S&P 500 index compared to what an average employee works. And they say the average differential is the bosses earn 240 times as much, and in fact that has gone up since 2009, up 20%. Now, they also put a league table together, and at the top of that table in terms of differentials is the head of the retailer JCPenney. Look at this, a massive 1,795 times what the average person there earns, according to them. Other well-known companies, Starbucks, Oracle as well in that list.
Wow, impressive. The Parliament in Cyprus, we're moving on to now the latest in the Cyprus saga that we've been following for the last few weeks, Matthew. The Parliament there has approved now that €23 billion bailout. Concerns now, though, leaving Cyprus, turning to Slovenia.
That's right. We get one of them is sort of in shape now, for now at least. Slovenia is the latest focus for concern. The banking sector there causing worries for a while now. Now, the country was due to raise €2 billion on the bond markets on Tuesday. It pulled that auction and said it was expecting a downgrade from a ratings agency, and that came through later in the day from Moody's. They downgraded from that Baa2 to Ba1. What that means is that they've put the credit rating into junk status now. Moody's saying that a bailout of the banking sector is now more likely.
Now we're going to move on to Apple, which has had more success for its part with the bond sale on Tuesday.
Yes, they were also looking to raise money, also almost as much money as that Cyprus bailout. In fact, $17 billion. Now, it's the biggest ever debt sale by a company. Now, they were doing this because they want to return $100 billion to their shareholders. Now, they, in fact, have a lot of cash sitting in the bank, $145 billion, but it's not all in the US. It's most of it's spread around the world, and they don't want to bring it back into the US and have to pay federal corporate taxes on it, which is why they were in the markets raising that money on Tuesday.
Now, Apple has got some unintentional advertising.
Yes, now there's a bit of accidental advertising that played in their favour, and it wasn't intended that way. The tennis player David Ferrer is competing in the Madrid Open. There he is, and it's sponsored by Samsung. Now, he sent a tweet out to say how much he loved Samsung products, the Galaxy S4 in particular. There's the tweet, but there was the offending item at the top of the tweet. He sent it from his iPhone, it seems. Well, that tweet later hastily deleted and resent without the mention of Apple.
Unfortunately, though, we're going to have a look at the markets now.
Yeah, let's take a look now. It won't take very long because most of the markets are closed for the May Day holiday. Just Japan trading, and as you can see there, it's slightly down. While the Chinese market may be closed, some data out from there on the health of the manufacturing sector. Still growing. This is the April figure, 50.6 of PMI. Now, anything above 50 shows things continuing to grow, but as you can see, it's down on March. And one important factor there is the slowdown in the rate of the country's exports, given what's happening in the worldwide economy.
Now, it is specifically, Matthew, those exports from China and from elsewhere that have led to calls for better protection of one well-known brand here in France.
That's right. Laguiole is the name of the brand. They make cutlery, knives in particular, and they've complained for quite a long time about imports coming in from China and from other countries as well. They say putting jobs at risk in their factory in the south of France. Well, they may now be about to get the kind of protection that they've been looking for, as Luke Schrago reports.
Anyone who likes a good steak should be familiar with the Laguiole bee, a symbol of handcrafted quality since the 19th century when it comes to knives. However, is it always the real thing?
Just because there's a bee on the knife does not mean that it's been made by Laguiole or that it's been handcrafted.
Rather than in Laguiole's workshop in southern France, a lot of copies made in China or Pakistan have showed up in recent years. Now the French government wants the brand defended. It's proposed the creation of an IGP, a protected geographical indication, much like the kind of protection that exists to assure the provenance of French wine, or even foie gras and cheeses.
The main advantage would really be for the consumer, because not only would they know exactly where the product was coming from, they'd know how it was made.
What's more, the town of Laguiole would also benefit. It would give the southern French commune a say in just which products would officially be allowed to use its name.
In the
future, they'll have to be informed by the Patent Office each time a brand related to the name of the village is used. And the local council will have to say if it's in favour of the creation of that brand or not.
For the knife makers, the IGP would be a major step on the path not just towards helping their brand, but to protecting local jobs and more than a century of knowledge and technique of the craft.
We've been hearing all about knives there, and we'll read them, of course, for steaks. Steaks also, though, need a good wine to go with them. The choice that's at the disposal of the French president when it comes to the wine for his table is getting a little smaller.
That's right. They have a nice cellar at the Elysée Palace, but they're going to be selling off 10% of it. Now, it's not really an attempt to help with the current economy drive here in France. It's more because they don't have enough bottles of certain of the wines when they serve them at these great big formal dinners. Now, estimates of the wine that's available, in case you're interested to have a go, range from €15 a bottle to €2,200 for a 1990 Petrus. I'm sure it's very nice.
I'm sure it's very nice. Well beyond our means. It is just coming up to 8 o'clock here in Paris. Chris Moore will be back in just a couple of minutes for a look at the headlines. Do stay with us.